a little chat that we just did live. I'll be following up with some questions as well, potentially, and then I can point you in the right direction of where she is. So without further ado, let's get started.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, so we're here talking all about baby sign language. Very important step. I'm going to let Romina invite because somehow it ended last time, I think, just because it's very close buttons and stuff. But what we're going to be covering is kind of an overview of baby sign language. We've been doing some baby sign language with Emma. So it's just a case of, just finding out more about it. Because with lots of things, lots of the experts we've talked to, I'll let you do it. Lots of the experts we've talked to about whether it's sleep, whether you can check them all out on IGTV. And yeah, there's just a lot to take in.
Hello.
We probably need to raise our thing up now that we're cut off slightly, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No.
I felt like I needed to duck down then. But
No.
So good.
We've got a toolbox.
Okay,
so
let's see.
You're going to hold the phone.
If I don't drop it.
No, you don't need to move. Okay.
No?
Put it through position now.
Okay.
That's a bit better. Okay, perfect.
there we go. Hi, guys.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I've just got Etta to sleep in time, so that was absolutely perfect. Yeah.
Well done.
Sweet. So, yeah, you take it away. I always do the intros. And then...
Yeah, so I was gonna see people joining. Yeah, people are joining, so they'll join slowly and come and go. So you must be quite. You're 40, 41.
Weeks. Yeah. So you can see. I don't know if you can see. I've got a big old bump going on. Yeah, just feeling really, really uncomfortable. But just trying to keep busy as well, kind of take a bit of rest, but also try and keep busy because it's like, watching paint dry or waiting for the kettle to boil or whatever it is. The more you're waiting for it to happen, I know it's not going to happen. So
yeah, it just drags, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does. Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is. You're pregnant for sort of 9 months, and then the last few weeks just take the longest time. But we're getting there, hopefully.
Yeah, but I think it's just because you're tired and uncomfortable. And you just feel like you're done now.
Exactly. And it was hard enough the first time. And now I've got a toddler to contend with as well. And toddlers just are not that considerate to knowing that you are feeling absolutely exhausted. So we've got a lot of, if something falls on the floor, I just think, nah, that's staying there now till my husband's around again.
Forever.
Whatever it is, I'm not getting down there and getting back up again.
I know the feeling. So I say if you how we normally start is you talk a little bit about yourself and you say what you do, and then we can just go from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What's your origin story?
Okay. Right. So my name's Charlie, and I'm a baby and toddler sign teacher. So my sister was born profoundly deaf, so sign language has always been a part of my life and part of our family's life. But I have to say I'd never heard of baby sign language. I didn't know it was a thing until I was pregnant with my first daughter, Etta, and I started looking into how to teach Etta to sign, because it's really important to me that she could communicate with my sister and with our deaf friends. And that's when I came across baby sign language. And I have to be honest, I was quite skeptical. And I thought, really, can baby sign? I've known about sign language all my life and I've never heard of this. Is this just going to be another one of those things that we're told to do as new parents, and it's another stressful thing, and then we're made to feel guilty when we can't keep it up? But I really struggled after I had Etta kind of getting out and about, and I couldn't get to classes. And so I thought, I'm going to give this baby sign thing a go and see how it is. And so I learned to sign a nursery rhyme, and I loved it, Etta loved it, and it was just something that we could do in our day. It helped us bond because seeing her response, I was suddenly, and seeing her smile and just like, we're communicating, and it really helped me through a very difficult sort of postpartum period. And then when Etta did her first sign to me at the age of 6 months, it blew my mind. And I was like, I cannot believe that you're actually telling me, before you can talk, you're telling me what what you want right now. I just thought everybody should be doing this. This is brilliant. This is a great way to communicate with babies, but also a really good way of introducing people to sign language. Obviously, having a deaf sister, you know, we want more and more people to be signing. We all want a more inclusive society, and I think a lot of people's interest in British Sign Language is sparked from doing baby sign language. So it just sort of brought together sort of my life as a new mum, but also something that me and my sister had felt so strongly about for a really long time. So I started doing baby sign classes. So that's sort of where I'm at now. And I ended up giving up. I was meant to go back to my old job after maternity leave, but I was just enjoying it too much and thought I've got to give this a proper go because I might never get this opportunity again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Actually, I have to say it's the same here. So in my family, the only reason I know is because my sister did it. And not me personally. I was skeptical, but not too bothered.
I totally understand.
But my mom was really skeptical. She's like, he's never gonna talk because we're giving him the easy way, so he's going to be doing this and they're not gonna talk. And my nephew is a chatterbox. He talks so much. So that is something probably I'm glad you said that, because it's probably one of the hardest part of my job, is that I think it was sort of in the 80s or 90s, there was this thing that was put out saying if you sign with your child, it will delay their speech. There's been so much research done across the world, and all the research shows that it doesn't slow down development. And not only does it not slow down speech development, it helps it. Yeah. So actually, children who are babies and toddlers who sign tend to be early talkers, which is definitely true with my daughter, and are better sort of long-term communicators as well, because you're learning from such an early age how to communicate. And sign language is all about facial expressions and body language and eye contact, which are all skills that they're picking up through sign that we don't appreciate. We think, oh, they're just signing milk to us, but it's actually so much more. Yeah, well, absolutely. And then I find, for example, personally, in my personal opinion and things that have gone through now that we actually do sign language to my daughter, that I feel like she's less frustrated. Like my nephew had the same, so he never cries. She literally never cries. Looks at me and she's hungry and she tells me she's hungry, or if she wants more, or
It's brilliant. It's absolutely amazing. It's so nice to hear it from other people, and there's been lots of research done on that as well, and it shows that it does cut down on tears and tantrums, because all that is, it's frustration. It must be so frustrating as a baby to know what you want and know what you need and not be able to communicate that, and it's from 6 months that babies start knowing what they want and knowing what they need, and it's a really long time until they can say their first words from 6 months. So to be able to kind of bridge that gap and give them those tools, I mean, it's great for us as parents because it helps us out, but it must be so nice for them as well.
Well, realistically, even if they talk, they don't actually say a lot of things until much later. Even if they talk at 1, they might say mom, and I don't know.
Yeah, they don't come out with a full vocabulary. Yeah, speaking in perfect sentences. Yeah. And that's why people always think, oh, I only need it until they say their first words. But it's well beyond that, because there's words that Etta's learning all the time and we learn the signs for. So, I mean, I teach up to preschoolers. So it's beneficial, as they're developing language throughout childhood.
Yeah, and quite a lot of the chats that we've been doing in general, there's just a lot of preconceptions that people have got from lots of places, and it's really funny, even with baby sign language, that you would if you're treating an adult, for instance, you would say, well, there's several different ways of learning and communicating and and so when we start to try and link them together. And one of the first things we were actually really surprised about with Emma was when we started doing sign language, that was actually one of the kind of facilitators for her to also try and say the word at the same time. Because before we would just say the word and then she's a bit like, okay. But then if she's if she's learning the sign, eventually she was like more, because every time once you're trying to link the action to the word, it seems like it. Yeah, and so it's funny that just because it's a baby, you're like...
It's fun, and it's fun for them as well, I think, more than just talking, being able to add gestures and action, because they're very visual creatures. And so being able to add in something kind of physical and visual is fun for them as they're trying to say the word. But also, like you say, making those links as well. So especially things like words, I think it's an example, like banana, where you're very much doing the action of peeling the banana. Like you say, they might hear the word banana and think, yeah, I recognise that word. I think I've heard that before. I've got no idea what it means or what it's linked to. And then you do that and they think, oh, well, I've seen mummy or daddy peel a banana, or I've tried doing that with a banana myself. And it can just be sort of an extra piece of the puzzle for them to think, that's what those sounds mean. So yeah, like you say, there's so many different elements to it.
So one of the big questions is, what is the difference between baby sign language and normal sign language?
Yeah.
So there's a few different types of sign language. So there's British Sign Language, BSL, which is the language of the deaf community, and it's a recognised minority language, just like Welsh is. You know, it's got rights in law, British Sign Language. And then there's also Makaton. I don't know if you've heard of Makaton Sign Language. So that's used for people with learning disabilities, and that's more. It's not a complete language. It doesn't have its own sort of grammar and sentence structure like BSL does. It's more sort of words and phrases. But what I teach is British Sign Language. And it's different because British Sign Language has got its own grammar and its own sentence structure. So, for example, if you were signing BSL, you wouldn't say, my name is. You would sign name, me, and then I'd say Charlie. Mm-hmm. But because baby sign language is all about developing those language skills, we use British Sign Language, but we sign in the same way that we talk, and we'd always use our voice. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So, but the actual signs are the same.
The actual signs are exactly the same, yes.
The order and actually saying.
Yes, exactly. So lots of people, so I always ask people when I used to do physical classes why they've signed up to do baby sign. And so many of them said, not even here for the baby. I've just always wanted to learn British Sign Language, and this seems like a great opportunity. And then they go on and do proper BSL courses. Because obviously there's no qualification at the end of doing a baby sign course, but you can go on to get your BSL level 1 and level 2. And a lot of people do that because it's sort of a good foundation, because you've already got a good idea of lots of signs and sort of how it works as well.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess it's all about when you mentioned about 6 months, and then expectations, I guess, are the next thing from that.
Yeah.
Well, I think 7 words a week. Like, how does it work?
I'm expecting this one to come out the womb signing, actually. So expectations are high over here. I would say it's never too early and it's never too late to do baby signs. So I've had 2-week-old babies start my courses. So what we do is it's all sort of sensory, it's singing, it's stories. You do singing and read stories with your child anyway. And so although they won't be signing back from 2 weeks, it's good, it's really for the parent to learn, because it's from you that they'll learn. So I'd say it's never too late, but certainly in terms of, too early, but in terms of managing expectations, there's very few babies that sign before 6 months. I've definitely seen it and I've heard about it, but Etta signed around about the 6-month mark, and that's normally what we see with our classes. It's nearly always at 6 months the sign for milk, because that's the most important thing for them. But then from there, it could be anything. So I've had a lot of parents say, why is my baby signing washing machine before mummy or daddy? Like, how is that fair? But it's just things that it's a really fun sign, the sign for washing machine. It's a nice, easy one. So if it's something that they get excited by, or they find it funny or interesting, it can, and it's the signs that they learn, once they've got 1 or 2, the rest come much, much more quickly. It can be frustrating when you've signed with them and they're not signing back, because it's not like other developmental milestones. I can't say to you, your baby will definitely sign at 6 months. It depends when you started signing and how often you do it as well. Because obviously we've all got so many things to think about, and remembering to do the sign for milk every time we feed them, or every time we say mummy or daddy, we can forget. So there's so many variables to it. So yeah, I mean, from 6 months, some sign at 6 months, some at 9 months, some don't do it from from until they're 12 months old. But I think the key thing to remember there is that you're helping their language development. Even if they're not signing back, they are taking in so much more than we realise. And it might be that they take a bit longer to sign, but then 4 or 5 signs will come at once.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. For this is one of the things my sister mentioned after she did the course, because she did a course in Spain, and she was saying that because I said I wanted to try, and Matt wasn't like, okay, whatever, and she said, don't get frustrated because you might start 1 month, it might take 2 or 3 months for Emma to do anything, and you might be thinking, oh, this is such a waste of time, and I'm taking so much time doing this or doing that or doing this, and then the baby's just looking at me thinking, okay, you're crazy.
Yeah, I know. I can totally understand, and that's why I always say to people, if you're thinking about giving up and it's not working, please come and talk to me first, because I can tell you so many stories of parents who say, my little one did their first sign today. I was just at that point of giving up and thinking that it wasn't going to work, and suddenly they signed. So I know it can be, it can feel frustrating, but I think as long as it's fun for you as the parent, and you've got all of those kind of singing and story elements and the sensory side with the babies as well, it should just be something fun that you do together, and maybe don't worry about the end result so much, because it will come. Just have fun, and you're learning a new language alongside your baby, and that is the coolest thing ever, because it is a language, and you're bilingual if you can speak, if you can sign. So it's just a great skill. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we found that, I don't know if you agree, but for example, the most useful for us was milk. And then my sister said to me, more, because when she's hungry, I'm hungry, obviously hungry, and she was thirsty, and then more, because always our baby eats a lot, and she's always hungry. And so she's like, I think she needs to get like upset because she can tell us how to say, keep feeding me. Yeah. More, you're not going to
the ball, and then it's like,
but it was funny with Emma, because we stopped where we got a bit sick of it, and actually it wasn't working for us, and we said, okay, well, that's it, we're not doing it for a while, because I was trying, Matt wasn't trying it. And I said to him, if you don't do it every day, she won't do it anyway.
But we also didn't agree on any sort of, we're not like, oh, we're going to learn this. We were kind of like, we're just going to sign, and we're going to randomly sign stuff. And I didn't know half of the signs, so I was like, okay. So...
No wonder she would think she didn't learn anything for a long time. But then one day we said, okay, from today we do. And we started doing food, like to eat. And immediately, I'm not talking about immediately, like 3 signs later, she was like already doing this and already doing this.
Brilliant. Did you feel smug then? You like, yes, I told you.
I'm not telling anyone because they'll hate me. No, but I just think it's because we didn't do it before. So maybe she did clock it in before, but obviously we stopped. And then one day we kept, obviously, I'm not sure, I'm sure you can say this, but when my sister explained to me, she said the most important thing is to do the action while you talk. Because if you're saying you're hungry or you do this.
Yes, exactly.
And don't say it when it's happening, it's just not gonna compute in their head.
Absolutely. Right? Your sister should be teaching baby sign language.
My sister is very good. I have said to her she should, because she's very good with children as well. And I said to do it, but my sister is she likes to just float along. She's not she doesn't like to do her own business, but she should.
I mean, she's explained that really well, and I'd absolutely agree. It's using the same word. It's that repetition. And I always say for the baby sign classes, the babies are not going to learn from me, from doing my classes. It's for the parents to learn, and it's when you do them in situ, like you say, when you're having food and doing the sign, that's when they'll learn. The toddler classes I do, once they're sort of over 12 months, they can learn from me, but certainly up till 12 months, it's from the parents. So it's, I'll give you the skills, and then it's the amazing work that the parents do at home, which means that their babies sign rather than anything from me.
Do you do this? Obviously, do you do these courses physically? Imagine now. Obviously, with coronavirus, things have changed. Are you doing them online now, or?
Yes. So I used to do it's sort of gone full circle. So because I was finding it really difficult to get out and about after I'd had my daughter, I wanted to do online stuff. So I set up my Instagram account. I just did short videos showing people, if they couldn't get to classes as well, here's a few key signs for you. And then it somehow developed into me doing classes and then into doing courses. And so for about 2 years, I was running classes sort of around my area in Southeast London. And then lockdown happened. And so it's gone back to all being online, which it is, I really miss the classes and sort of being able to meet the babies and play with them and sort of interact in that way you can only get when you're together. But it has allowed me to reach so many more people in so many places across the country. And, I've had people from, New Zealand and Canada and Argentina doing my classes, and, even just people in the north of England, which has been absolutely incredible. And I've made some really amazing friends online from doing this as well, and being able to see videos and photos. So it has been great. There are things that I miss, but then there's also huge plus points to it as well. And it's kept me going through lockdown, still being able to get up and get ready for classes and have that purpose has been as good for me as it has been for parents being able to do it too.
Absolutely, yeah.
So with the so when you tell anyone, especially if you tell me, you're going to start learning a second language, I get like flashbacks of school, and it's all like crazy. So do you have like a rough structure in terms of like if I'm doing classes with you, like how does that work in general as like a concept?
Well, to reassure you, I was terrible at languages at school. I tried French, German, Spanish. I tried another one as well, but yeah, I tried lots, and I was never very good at them. But I do think I'm more of a visual learner anyway. So even if you weren't great at spoken languages, that's not to say that sign language won't be absolutely right for you. In terms of structure, it's a bit different for baby sign because we're just learning the sort of songs and stories and words that are best for babies. But I think what I'd say is that it's a lot more intuitive than people realise. Like we were saying with banana, if I'd done that and told you that I was signing a fruit, you probably could have guessed that. And like with drink, it's just like you're picking up a cup. So although it can feel scary learning a new language, you two will understand so much more sign language than you know. And if you were to guess a lot of the signs, then you'd absolutely be able to do that. So it's one of those things, you just got to get started on it, and then you'll realise, and they tend to stay with you as well, more so than I found with spoken languages, because they are so intuitive.
Yeah, absolutely. The other day you were doing the washing machine, and then the
it makes sense.
No?
Yeah.
I remember.
Exactly. Yeah, and
it is easy to remember. It's much easier.
It is, yeah, because you're just doing the action of the thing that you're talking about or the thing that you're describing, which makes it quite good fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess someone just said, for example, one of the comments was about how they struggle with the sign languages that with two hands, because they have all the children, and they're holding one to the children, and then they have only one hand.
That's a really good point. Hello. I just readed the comment. I think
that'll be your problem very soon. You'll be holding the one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I will. You're trying to feed Etta with the other. I'm not going to have any hands. I have to start signing with my feet or something. So a lot of people ask, first of all, is on whether they should be signing with their right hand or their left hand. And so in British Sign Language, you'd always have what we call a dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, so my right hand does the signs, and they do it kind of around. So like with banana, sorry to keep using this example, but just to keep going back to it.
People are going to take away something, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. No one's going to leave not knowing the sign with banana. This one's doing the sort of the movement and the action, and then this one is just you sort of create the sign around your left hand, basically. And if you were left-handed, this is going to be really confusing. It would be like that. So you do it the other way around. That's actually quite difficult to do, surprisingly. But what I've always said for baby sign is, you are very often, you've got someone on your hip or on your arm, and if you can only do it with your free hand, that's absolutely fine, because it's more the movement. So if you were doing milk, for them to see that on either side, that doesn't matter. And in terms of doing them two-handed, there's actually a lot of people who are deaf and sort of use BSL as their main communication method do signs one-handed. So even if you were just doing that for banana, like I say, it's the movement of it that's the important thing. And this hand is normally just supporting it and adding something extra. Whereas, just doing that and saying banana would be enough to for them to learn the sign. So like with everything in parenting, you just got to go with whatever the situation is, and you'll be able to make it work. I don't like there being rules or anything sort of strict in baby sign language. It should just be something fun and easy for you to do. And you guys were great. When you got frustrated with it, you stopped, and then you picked it up when you were ready again. Because the last thing I'd ever want is for someone to not be enjoying it. I just want people to love sign language as much as I do.
Yeah, absolutely that's so, especially when you're a parent, you're tired, you have no sleep, you sometimes just,
exactly,
your brain can't function.
You don't need another chore. You don't need another chore on top of everything else. So the reason I set it up was because I found it helped me. And if anybody finds that it's not helping them, then that's fine. And baby sign isn't for you. And, there's so many other brilliant classes out there that you can do as well. I think if you can stick with it, then it's definitely worth it. And it, like you found, it massively pays off in cutting down on frustration and tears, and is really good fun. But it's not for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that maybe it'll be great if this was more like widespread, like maybe in nurseries and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That I do think that is changing. So obviously I don't know what's going to happen now because everything's been thrown out the window. But last year the government committed to introducing a GCSE in British Sign Language. So just like you could choose to do German for your GCSE, you could choose to do British Sign Language, which is absolutely incredible, and something that the National Deaf Children Society had been campaigning for years and years and years, and it was a really big win. And they promised to introduce it before 2021, I think. I don't think that's going to happen now.
Coronavirus, but
but it is going to happen. And what I love is that for all the children that I'm teaching at the moment, there will be a GCSE or whatever they're called by then. There will be some exam that they can take in British Sign Language. So, you're already giving them a head that they might want to do when they're older. Yeah. So I hope that it's
I never knew that.
Oh, say that again. I lost you a bit then.
No, I'm just saying that I never knew that was happening. That's insane.
It's really exciting. And more nurseries are realising how fantastic.
Losing you. Should we try?
That would help as well. Oh,
just 1 second. I think it's us. Let me see if that
works.
works.
Might get slightly disconnected for a sec, but no, did it work?
Can you hear it?
Please, that's brilliant.
There we go.
Hello, there we go.
Yeah,
we just reconnected. I don't know if it's your or our end, but we went on.
Sorry. I was just looking at another one of the comments from Celia saying that she'd never heard of baby sign language, and she's going to start with her 4-month-old. That's really brilliant. I would definitely say to get started with that sign for milk. That's the one that they tend to pick up, and it's a really nice, easy action for little hands to do as well. So yeah, that's definitely the best one to get started with.
Yeah, my daughter wakes up every morning and she's 15 months and she's like,
yeah.
I mean, the first thing in my face.
Well, you just ask it. You just go, "Are you hungry?" Like.
Yeah, that can be a bit of a problem once they know how to ask. So the hardest thing for us was when my daughter learned how to sign biscuit, and then it was just biscuit, biscuit, desperate for biscuits all the time. So sometimes it can be a little bit of a hindrance, but it was just nice to know what she
How do you
wanted
sign
anyway.
biscuit?
Biscuit.
Oh, biscuit. Oh my goodness.
On your
I'm
elbow.
not showing that.
So
to
use
Emma.
that one with caution. Yeah.
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 Stick with banana. Definitely stick with banana. She loves banana.
Yes, stick with banana. Banana. Peel the banana. Peel the banana. Yeah, much more healthy.
Oh, that's really funny. So
Are there any other, because quite a lot of these chats, for instance, there's quite a lot of like myths or things that people have heard. So is there anything else that comes to mind around baby sign language that people come and do and ask you if there's any sort of like misconceptions that they have about it, apart from the communication aspect, maybe the one of like not talking?
I think the biggest one is the speech one, and then the second one is that babies can't really learn how to sign, because obviously, like I say, British Sign Language is a proper language, and they think, well, they don't have the dexterity to do the signs yet because they've just got little hands, and they're still getting to grips with how all those little digits work. But what we find is that babies will naturally, just like they don't always say words perfectly. And the best example I can give is that when Etta started saying water, she'd say wawa, because she couldn't quite say the sound. And that's how babies learn to talk. So I knew what she meant, and I knew I could give her water when she said wawa. And it's exactly the same with sign language. They will find a way of signing to you. So, for example, the sign for mummy. The sign for mummy is 3 fingers tapping on your head, because that's like an M for mummy. There's 3 fingers. But that's really difficult, and we're not going to get little ones doing that. So what we tend to see when they start signing is that they'll use their whole hand.
Yeah.
But that is just, it's the way they learn sign is so closely linked to the way that they learn speech. And it's exactly the same. They'll do this. You know what they're trying to communicate to you, so you'll know what they're saying. And it's just for us to say, yes, sorry. I think you lost me then. I said, so it's just for us to show them the correct sign. Yes, that's right, mummy. And the more you do it, and the older they get, and signing is great for helping them getting that dexterity anyway. So then they will eventually start doing the correct sign, just like my daughter eventually started saying the word for water.
absolutely, yeah, that's absolutely right. That's what's happened with Emma. So, and every day she gets better with her little hands and with the words. So you just have to be patient.
And it's super cute being able to communicate with your child, right? Suddenly they go from the stage just like staring at you, and then you're like, oh, hey.
I know, it is so cute. And someone just said babies are incredible, and they really are. And the thing is, they want to communicate. They want to be able to tell us what they want. And they're very social beings, and being able to give them these tools, I think, is the coolest thing.
Cool. So let's, because I know it's a long day for you, and it's the other night, and you need to go.
No, I'm having a great time. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's been lovely. So we would always at the end say, if you can just give a bit of where people can get in touch with you, to
website, Instagram.
We know you are 41 weeks, and you won't be working after for a while, I'm assuming, but
everything's on YouTube. So all the lives and videos and sign songs and stories, everything that I've done is all saved on YouTube. So if you look up Etty Betty Baby Signs on YouTube, there's probably going to be 6 months worth of stuff there now. And I'm on Instagram at Etty Betty Baby, and there's lots of videos on there. And you can also, during lockdown, I created an online baby sign dictionary. So it is something that people sign up for. Everything else is free, but just for this dictionary, there's a small charge for it. And then you've got all the words at your fingertips. So if you suddenly think, oh, my little one got really excited by a helicopter when we were out, I'd love to know the sign for helicopter. I'm not going to be around for a bit to answer those questions and do the videos like I do normally, but you'll be able to go on there and look under H and see the sign for helicopter, which is a really good one. Helicopter. Yeah. So there's you can find that all through my Instagram as well. But yeah, I just think it's definitely, even if you're skeptical, 100% give it a go, because I was, and now I'm teaching it as my job.
Absolutely. So, and then you said you also do in the future after you settle with your baby, you probably go back to doing like online things.
Yeah, I'll go back to doing the online classes. I mean, I was thinking next year that I would start doing physical classes again, but at the moment you just can't commit to anything. We're just going to go with it. And I love doing things online, so I'll do that for as long as it makes sense.
Amazing. Great. Well, it's been lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
So fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
We love your videos. I personally love your videos. That's how I find you, because I always watch them.
Oh, good.
So even I found you before we
started signing.
No, well, after we started signing the first time, but then I got more excited, and then that's when we said, okay, let's do it. So thank you for that.
Please, thank you for signing with me. It's brilliant. Thanks so much for having me today as well. It's been really good fun.
And then we'll put this online as well, on IGTV and on YouTube.
And then we stream and stuff. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you guys so much. I'll speak to you again soon. Take care.
Soon with a baby.
Right. So that's the end of the chat. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, people can now you can rewatch, and of course you can follow us on at Shop La Romy. And so yeah, we're doing more and more chats. You can find on our IGTV, and we're also going to be replaying quite a few of the live streams. But that's where you can go to actually ask your questions live. And other than that, I think we will finish this event, and do get your comments down below, and I'll make sure to forward them on to Charlie as well. So, till next time.